Ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, are you ready for the greatest show in the multiverse? Don't get stranded, do as I have commanded. Get your eardrums rubber-banded and your mind expanded. We're gonna give you an emotional response. Let's all join the Southern Renaissance.
Well, hey everybody, welcome to the very first, nothing else came before this episode of Southern Renaissance. And today I've got a very, very, very special guest on. One of my favorite people in the whole wide world. I've known him like over 30 something years. Can't believe I'm that old now. But ladies and gentlemen, the amazing Jason Sims.
Hello, everybody. Hello, Tony Perdue.
Hello, Jason Sims.
You're also one of my favorite people.
Well, thank you.
On Earth.
Thank you. What about the universe?
And
I don't appreciate you not including me in the universe.
No, and also the universe, but I was just paying homage to your Earth origins.
All right. Well, what about the multiverse?
And also in the I'm sure that if there are other Jason Simses and other Tony Perdues out there, that they are either the best of friends or the most exciting and bitterest of enemies.
Okay. Well,
and
as long as it's winter, as long as it's hot or cold and not fair to middle, that sounds good.
We won't be spewed out of my mouth.
Spewed out. Man, well, so I know you like the back of my hand, but where are you from? Just so the listeners can find out about you.
Well, I'm from this little place called Cullman, Alabama, which we're in Huntsville right now. In my home. Welcome to my home.
Thank you. Yeah, that's one thing about this show. I thought I'd make it interesting. I made it sort of a portable studio setup where I can go on hit the road, Jack. I can go around, talk to different people all around the South. And by the South, I'll be traveling a lot to South America. No, I'm just kidding. I'm going to keep it in the Southern America.
The South Pole.
I don't have that much free time. Yeah, the South Pole. Only things with the South in it. Southern Nicaragua. I'll be going everywhere with
South Philly.
South Philly. I'll be there.
The Italian market. Yeah.
Yep. No, I'm not going either. Maybe one day.
Oh,
maybe.
That'd be nice.
Maybe, but and see, here we are off track.
We are already off track.
But let's take it back, Jack.
No, so I'm from Cullman, Alabama, which is south of here. Speaking of the South, I grew up in a little community called Bethel, and in West Cullman County. But I hung out in the big city of Cullman, which I think back then had 12,000 people. And
it's really grown a lot since we are younger. And
there are two excellent coffee shops within a mile of each other.
Yeah.
And that's amazing.
Yeah.
And I mean, they're really good coffee shops.
Yeah. For Cullman, that's saying something.
Oh, yeah.
Well, where'd you go to high school?
Well, I went to West Point High School, which was the largest, at that time, may still be, largest county school in Cullman County. Because you have the county schools and the city schools, and the city schools were in the city. This may not be obvious. The city schools were in the city, and the county schools were in the county. And I believe you attended Vinemont and Holly Pond.
I did.
And Welty.
I did. Yeah. Well, I lived in Welty for a while.
And you went to Vinemont.
Went to Vinemont for a while. Then, got to Holly Pond, went there for high school. Yeah. And, that was good. So West Point is the home of the Ultimate Warriors, right?
It's the problematic mascot, the Warriors.
That's right.
We actually had someone. I don't want to go into this. It's unpleasant. No, I'm not going to go into it. But it's a problem. It's Native American themed thing, and they did the tomahawk chop and all that. And,
So that's the thing. In all seriousness about this show, that's one of the things I'm wanting to show on this show and kind of get around some of the stereotypes people have with the South, because there's a lot of cool people here. There's a lot of cool things happening, a lot of creative people, a lot of brilliant people, especially in Huntsville, Alabama. We have tons of literal rocket scientists here, and we have engineers, biomedical, you name it.
And there's a lot of good, artists and musicians and comedians and stuff up here as well. But
absolutely.
I went to West Point, and Yeah, like I've said, I went to school with a lot of family, a lot of my cousins, and like I had teachers that were my cousins, and actually my aunts and uncles had taught there at that school. Not when I was there because they were, they'd retired by the time I came along. But like, yeah, so I was sort of comfortable there in a way.
Yeah,
I was out of place, but also there was a place for me because I kind of got some acceptance by default.
Yeah, no, I get what you mean.
And that's like a safe space. Yeah.
Yeah. Cullman City is still not a very big place, or it wasn't back then, but Cullman County, you're in these small little pockets because that's the way it was for me, graduating from Holly Pond.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like you have people but if you're different, it's still going to be a different experience.
It's analogous to being in a big city and growing up like in a certain neighborhood.
Yeah,
like
that's a good point.
The part of the county you're from, that's kind of like your your neighborhood.
Yeah,
it's a real car. It's a real like car culture. It's a lot of driving and not the public transit. Is terrible. And
there's none.
There's none. Yeah.
Especially back when we were.
Yeah, I mean, in the city here in Huntsville, there's a little bit, but I don't understand it. Like I can't comprehend it. Like it's like trying to look at some kind of cosmic diagram.
You have to do math.
You have to do math.
Math is hard.
Yeah, math is hard
for me. Well, anyway. You remember how we met?
Yes. So, excuse me. So, in the city of Cullman, there's a place that we refer to as the train bridge. And it's actually just a pedestrian bridge that goes over the railroad tracks. There's like a sort of a gully that runs through the middle of town. And that will tell you about Cullman. It's the kind of town that has a gully running through the middle of it. But there were train tracks. And they put this pedestrian bridge over the train tracks. And there was also a parking lot there by the train bridge. So there were skaters and musicians and artists and people that I would call like amateur pharmaceutical enthusiasts.
Scallywags and
carpetbaggers.
All those types.
Yeah. Swags and cascades.
Yep.
Yeah. So we were all hanging out there, and that's how we met. And one thing that was interesting about you and I is that unlike most of the people there, we didn't do drugs.
Yeah.
Like I smoked cigarettes back then. I don't think I even drank really back then. Like I didn't, but people would think we were on drugs.
Yeah. My thing was just skateboarding.
Yeah.
I would just skate and get really tired and be like delirious and
my thing was just being tired and delirious and dehydrated I was like, my lifestyle was so unhealthy that I didn't have to skateboard to get in that state. But like, no, so Tony and I, we had a very similar sense of humor. We had that in common, that we weren't really like, using drugs and stuff like. We weren't like self-righteous about it or like.
I was. I looked down on everybody. No,
that's the thing I always loved about you. It's your self-righteousness. But like, it was just something that we had in common, and we were kind of able to kind of get in a very similar altered state through natural means, just by being silly with one another. And so I think we just, I don't know, like we hit it off probably 30 years ago now, like you said.
We just appreciated art in all its forms.
And authenticity and energy and so and that's like two young fellas,
2 young bucks about town.
Yeah, so we hit it off and we met. I mean, I think like we were talking earlier. I think you were involved in this thing where we'd gotten 3 cars together.
Oh, I was involved, man.
Yeah. You're connected.
I was in the planning.
So you're part of the planning committee.
Yeah.
So we took 3 cars and we had all the radios on scan where they would scan through different radio stations, and we cut the volume up really loud on all of them. And we had like a bass car, a mid car, and a treble car. And I think you may have been the treble car.
Definitely.
And I was probably the mid car. And I don't know who the bass car was, but we just had that going in the parking lot there. It was like we should have gotten a grant.
I don't remember if John was hanging around there, but he would have had a good bass car. He always had the lowrider truck. John was an amazing skateboarder.
I think John
He's
was
legendary.
I think John was gone by the time I came along. I never knew him, but I heard tell of him.
Oh, and he was from around my area. He lived around there for many years too. Yeah. So he is a legend.
Man, if we want to talk about train bridge legends,
Yeah, there's a lot.
We'd be here.
We could do I don't know, years and years worth of
tales
material.
of the train bridge.
Yeah, for real.
So we won't do that. But that was where we met, and then we worked together, and you would hang out at my house, and we would just drive around, and we would drive around and annoy fast food employees.
We were good at that. They were literally just trying to do their job.
They were trying to do their job, but we were like, hey.
We'd go through the drive-through. You had that fake hand one time. Remember that? And you like handed them the money with the fake hand, and they were just
to a Burger King, and there was this man there, a full-grown man, and obviously not having a great day, like a manager or something. Having to work.
It's a hard job.
Yeah, and he's working the drive-through window, and this is probably not where he wanted to be in his life, and then I pull around the corner, and we're paying for the food. I had a fake rubber hand, and I put the money in the rubber hand, and I held it out, and he looked at me as, "Are you going to really do this to a fellow human being?" And I looked back at him, and I said, "Yes, I am."
Why,
and
yes.
He had to take it out of the rubber hand, and rightfully, I've reflected on that moment since as an adult that has empathy for other people, as an adult. And I was like, yeah, I shouldn't have did that.
I've never heard a human being exhale such a long.
It was like you could. I think some of that existential angst like got into my nostrils. Yeah, and I've never been the same.
It was like all that carbon monoxide. Am I saying that right? Carbon dioxide.
Yeah.
Just inventing chemistry,
if it was
making my own chemistry.
I think Turbo Teen would be the only person that would like exhale carbon monoxide.
There's another, Generation X reference.
So we just had a good time.
Yeah.
We were having a drug-free good time.
And that's funny because we were like pretty much the epitome of like good kids other than our mischievous,
other than just being nuts.
Other than just being out of our minds. But what is off?
Oh, what isn't off? So OFF exclamation point. There currently is a band. Keith Morrison is the lead singer of this band. And what's funny is that back in the mid-90s, Tony and I were in a band called OFF exclamation point. Very influenced by the Circle Jerks and Black Flag and stuff like that. So Off was this band that Tony, it was me singing, Tony playing guitar. Our first drummer was a guy named Brant Benefield, who was too good for us, so we did not keep him long. Yeah. And I do not blame him.
He had a future in music.
He was good.
He's been a great drummer since then. And then a lot of bands.
Yeah, and then Tommy Norris played bass, and then later on, Adam Ferguson played drums, and he was more our speed because, as we talked about, he started on a drum machine. It was basically like a child's drum machine,
like a Fisher Price drum machine,
and he played it with spoons.
Yep, it had the little pads on it.
Yeah.
Because we couldn't afford we're like the the Fat Albert Gang, but a bunch of honkies out in the country
building our instruments out of trash.
Yeah, exactly.
But then later on, he got drum set, but he wasn't, and this is no insult. He sucked like the rest of us did.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
It went.
He was
a better
beginner.
Fit.
Yeah,
he was. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah,
but we were all beginners, and he was a better fit for the band because he was as terrible as the rest of us was. But we had fun. We had a lot of fun, and we had a lot of like kind of performance art aspects to the stuff because we wanted to put on a good show. Because I think Tony and I, at our hearts, were like showmen, entertainers, and I think we wanted to put on a good show. So where we lacked musically, we tried to make up for it by giving away balloons and wearing costumes and stuff.
Door prizes. Just always, I thought, well, if you can't, make people enjoy it in another way, you can at least like make an, mockery of yourself and be like, look at that clown.
Well, it's an experience.
So there's different levels of entertainment.
There's a self-effacingness about it, and also just like making an experience.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, do you remember CRMC?
The Cullman Rap Masters crew?
Oh, I was going to say Cullman Regional Medical Center, but...
Yeah, Cullman Rap Masters crew. So when we had off, we had found a single of the Humpty Dance by Digital Underground.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I just realized that
I forgot about
sentence,
that.
the sentence single of the Humpty Dance is an inherently funny sentence.
Yeah.
Anyhow, so on the flip side, not to be confused with a flip chart, but on the flip side was the instrumental track. So we would bring a boombox we brought a boombox to an off gig one time and we played that.
Yeah.
And we did rapped the Humpty Dance
Yeah. I remember that.
to that. And I think people liked that better than they liked.
Yeah.
They liked it when we did fake rap. Then we started doing like a rap song, whatever.
Yeah.
And then they liked that better.
Yeah. I
than
was
off.
I was always like, I mean, I had fun doing it just as a joke, but it was like,
and we liked, I mean, there was, like hip hop that we liked. Like we didn't think hip hop was a joke, but
I still love KRS-One.
oh
He's
my
one
God,
of my favorite artists.
Fresh for 89.
Yeah. Yeah.
but just like we liked punk rock, but what we did was a more jokey version of it. Because that's kind of how that was our sensibility.
Just wacky,
Yeah. But so we did this joke rap and we actually won, we co-won a battle of the bands.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah. Russell Reeves owes us some studio time. We were supposed to do a split. Remember?
I forgot about
We're
that.
supposed to do a split with, it was either Joey Tampon and the Toxic Shocks.
Oh, that was a classic Huntsville punk
or
band.
the Nowhere Squares, who are still around.
They're still playing. Yeah.
The Nowhere Squares are still playing. And every time I see that, I feel like I'm having an aneurysm and I'm traveling through time.
It's weird, man. Yeah.
I feel unstuck in time. But yeah, they're still playing.
They're cool guys.
So I think because they were at that and Joey Tampon was there, and I think Stained. You ever Stained?
Yeah.
The lead singer of Stained
This
gave
is
me
the punk rock picnic.
The lead singer of Stained gave me a bag of gifts one time.
Yeah.
That included a vial of his blood.
And I thought that was very thoughtful.
It
of
was
him.
very thoughtful. It was a
thoughtful gift.
It was a personal gift.
Yeah. I mean, he could have just went and got a card, but he went to the trouble of draining his own blood to give you that. I mean,
and that may have not left the Ironworks State Park. It may have gotten put in a trash can.
in a biohazard bin. You guys got any biohazard bins
Sadly,
here?
I think I just put it in like a trash can.
Yeah.
But that's one of the oddest gifts I've ever received.
That I remember that,
Yeah.
and I forgot about that, but I remember that.
Yeah.
Who is Booty Chef?
This is like some behind the actor studio stuff. Or inside the actor studio. This is actually behind the actor studio.
Like over by the
We're
dumpster.
shooting dice over there asking questions.
Yeah.
So the Booty Chef, oh God, I think the quote is, so we did this show called the Punk Rock Picnic. Again, Russell Reeves was the guy that ran this record store close to UAB called American Beat. And we had some friends that went to UAB and they kind of got it. We kind of got in the gravity of that so that's where we played most of our shows was down there. And he was a super cool guy and he loved all the punks from Cullman because we were like fun, but we were like, we get in there and be like, but then we'd be like, oh yes, sir.
Pass the gravy.
We were polite and we were nice. And so he just loved us. And so he invited us to be part of this thing at down in Montevallo at Ironworks State Park. That was a good day. It was a fun show.
That was.
But so we had we all like dressed up in a food theme. So like, I think you had like an apron. We all had aprons on. Like somebody had a Quaker Instant Grits apron on and you had like,
I don't remember what I had
Denny's
on.
hat on maybe or something.
I don't even remember.
But like I had a chef's hat where I had written Booty Chef on it and I'd misspelled it. And I had a yellow apron that said school food is quote good.
Yeah. And I remember you had those giant yellow like lunch lady gloves too.
Yes, I did.
They were a nice touch.
Did. So that was Booty Chef. And I remember somebody yelled out, and it might have been Norm, who was kind of a fixture in the Birmingham
Cheers.
punk scene. Yeah, and the show Cheers. It was George Wendt from Cheers. But no, he yelled he's like, Booty Chef, I want to see the booty. I want to see that booty or whatever. And I said, and I think the quote was, I don't show the booty. I only cook the booty and serve up the booty because I'm the Booty Chef.
That is
1, 2, 3, 4, and then we play.
that is cold blooded. That
it's
needs to
cold-blooded.
be on somebody's tombstone.
Maybe I'll put it
That's-
on mine.
Maybe so.
Yeah.
That's prophetic.
So that was a fun show. Though I mean, so off was really fun, and we used to do things like you did a thing where you had water with blue food coloring in a Windex bottle, and you
I'd
drink
clean
that.
my amp with it, and then like
Drink
take and just chug it, the whole thing.
I remember one time I drank like a bottle of chocolate syrup at Sportsman's Lake at the 4th of July show.
I don't remember that, but I'm not surprised.
Yeah, and then a thing that inspired Legends. We bought a gas can, an unused gas can. It was like a big red gas can, and we filled it with water, and we used that to drink our
That
water.
may
during
have some
stage.
gas. It's not going to
Who
kill you.
knows? Who knows?
I mean, it's not gonna.
Nietzsche
What's a
said,
little
whatever-
gas between friends?
You get a gas face, it's fun. So anyway, and so that somehow it got around. So after I moved down to South Alabama to go to school at Troy State University, then it's now Troy University. And so off kind of ended as such. When I left, you guys became like Skank Williams Jr. I think for a while. And
it was Skank Williams Jr. It was me, Tommy,
and then you
the
became
same bass player,
the Franix,
and then Leo.
Leonard. But
that was fun.
Then y'all were the Franix for a little while,
Yeah.
and y'all had some different names, but like
AKA, and all, whatever.
yeah. But like, the rumor was the reason that we didn't play at American Beat anymore is that because we had set it on fire.
Yeah, and I just let that rumor go. Let it simmer.
That's what you do, so people would fear you. But
Build dominance.
it's more important to be feared than loved.
Yeah.
So it was fun. It was just fun times.
Well, we used to work together also at a cable access station in the 90s, which, that Tim and Eric show, all that was pretty much what we did. That's like before all that was a thing and the internet and all that.
Thank God.
Yeah. So it was kind of embarrassing, but it
was fun.
That was a fun time though. We learned a lot, and we were like the Sex Pistols running a cable access but hillbillies too.
Hillbilly Sex Pistols.
Hillbilly Sex Pistols. The Riddlin' Mountain Boys.
The Riddlin' Mountain Boys. So we worked at a little TV station, and we learned. We talked earlier about Larry Baker. Yeah. And I enjoyed talking about Larry. I hadn't thought about Larry Baker.
I love Larry Baker.
So the time I think about Larry Baker is Larry Baker was in his middle. He was middle aged, and we were young.
We're middle aged.
Now we're middle aged. We may be older than he was.
Yeah, I think
that's
so.
scary. We may be older
weird.
than he was when we worked for him. But anyway, he would get up out of his chair and be like, "Oh," and when he would do that, Tony and I would be like, "Oh," we'd like,
make him say,
And I remember one time I did that. And he looked me dead in the eyes and he said, "Wait, you just wait, you just wait." And so now, I may have a friend who's younger than me, who when I do that thinks it's funny that I go,
Yep.
But when I do that now, I can see the face of Larry Baker going, "I told you.
Yep.
Here you are.
Absolutely.
As I once was, now you are."
But it's such a patient, like sage type,
He was
like
so patient.
like
with us.
he's Confucius with the.
He was a for-real broadcaster, like old school radio DJ, engineer. He built that TV studio.
Yeah.
Ran it. He taught us how to edit video on old AB SVHS decks.
Before really digital editing was a thing, you had just the deck to deck thing.
Live,
and you would like mark your in and out points and it'd rewind and go like you'd hear that in real time, and then
we had like production music on video tapes, and we used a video toaster on a mega computer, and he taught us how to do all that. And he was so patient because we were obnoxious. Like we were ridiculous. And God bless Larry Baker. He is dead, no longer with us.
Yeah.
But God bless him. And his brother Charles owned it. They were co-owners of that, but it was in the basement of Baker Music, which I don't think is there anymore, but it was like as such. And it's like in the basement of there. And we just didn't work as much directly.
Yeah,
with
we
Charles.
didn't work as directly with Charles, but he had a lot to do with it for sure. Running it, the thing.
Oh yeah, but that was. So I feel like you and I received a lot of how do you put something together? How do you, edit audio? How do you edit video? How do you, present something publicly? Like even updating, like even making little slides for what we called the flip chart, which was the community calendar that would show community billboard that would show when there weren't TV shows on the channel. Even laying those, learning how to lay that stuff out.
Yeah.
And what if, how do you present information in a before you were trying to write a tweet, like we had to like fit only so many characters. Like, how do we get this information up there? And so, and it also gave us like iterations. Like we would make just tons of dumb video, like lots of dumb videos and
lots of experimental stuff.
And
it was weird.
Lots of just like turning all the sliders up on something. And
remember we could get the, you can't do it now with it. Well, I guess you could do a degree, but we would get the video feedback where you use the analog cameras and you aim it into the monitor. It's like goes into
infinite
analog, infinity.
That's our new our new synth project, Analog Infinity.
Hey, don't make me go there. Yeah, but
no, that was fun, and we would just stay up there like till like real late at night after we were done working.
Yeah, just experimenting.
We had keys. That was dumb. They shouldn't have given us keys.
That was a mistake.
That was a mistake. I remember one time Larry Baker came in there, and that was like midnight, and I was in there, and I was like, "Oh, hi." I was in there working on something. It
was an outlet,
Yeah.
It
kept us off the streets.
Yeah, exactly. Like you were saying, we weren't drug users. No. We didn't even drink. We were just like, we loved being creative.
And that was just such a great outlet. And again, Larry was so patient with us.
Yeah.
And did not have to be.
Dennis Borwick was very patient with us as well. And he was doing the news on there. We had a local news program. Of course, they had some national type news. And this was the 90s. So Tupac Shakur was in the news a lot at the time.
Yeah.
And you remember that?
Yeah. So Tupac Shakur, they would go over their script before. So it was like he and Mindy Stansel, and they were both broadcasters. So they had this habit of like going over their script because they do the news live. And so they would look at the prompter and go over their script, and they'd have it printed out too. But he's like, how do you pronounce this? And we're like, Dennis, it's Tupac Shakur. And he's like, no, it looks like Tupac Shakur. And I was like, no, Dennis, it's Tupac Shakur. He's like, y'all are trying to make me look foolish.
Yeah. Yeah.
And again, to his credit, I wouldn't have trusted us.
No, I would never trust.
We were unreliable. But in that moment, we were
trying to help.
We were trying so hard.
Yeah.
Dennis,
but
please
when
don't
you
say
cry wolf, you cry absurdity too many times. No one's going to believe
We
you.
were like, Dennis, please don't say Tupac.
Yeah, please.
But he did. And possibly dozens of people heard him say it.
Yeah. It's but I just that's a moment that was always memory. Funny. Yeah. But Dennis is a great guy. Oh yeah. I don't blame him.
No.
We were playing Space Rangers, running around with the headsets and zapping each other and all kinds of nonsense.
But we were not trying to make him look
We had green, purple hair.
Oh, yeah.
This was in the 90s in Cullman.
In rural Alabama.
Rural Alabama, where people like, who are these aliens? Who are these?
Yeah.
What are these things?
Now toddlers wear Ramon shirts.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's all.
I don't know which world I'd rather live in.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's a toss up, really.
The older I get, the more I just roll with it and just let it happen.
It's the one we're in.
And that's kind of why I started this podcast. I felt like I felt something like was telling me to do it and to like highlight people like you. Highlight. Isn't that a sport?
It's a sport. Yeah.
Okay. Well, highlight people like you and just people that don't fit a stereotype. And there's a lot of interesting people I know, and then people that, I'd like to talk to that have different ideas and just that don't always get out there or, get coverage or people know about. And I want people to know about it. So, do you remember that time that we did the local Cadillac commercial?
Yeah, I mean, oh God. Now I remember the commercial.
Yeah. But the local, we did a local Cadillac commercial, and we used to, of course we were making fun of everything.
Yeah.
There was an older guy on there. I guess he ran the Cadillac place. I can't remember who he was.
Consider stepping up to Cadillac luxury quality. That's the way he said it.
You're considering stepping up to
Cadillac luxury quality.
Yeah.
He was saying luxury and quality,
quality.
but he like every famous one word.
It all slurred together.
If we considered stepping up to Cadillac luxury quality.
And then Roger Myers, we were doing his radio show one day.
It was Butch Menifee.
Oh, was it
It
Butch?
was Butch Menifee. It was
Okay.
Pockets McPhee.
Pockets. Yeah, we were doing that radio show, and he was like, "Man, you got to do that live on the air."
We were doing that with each other, and he thought it was funny. And he's like, and they were one of their sponsors.
Yeah.
He's like, y'all do that live on there, and in a weird moment of good judgment, we went, Butch, we're not going to do that.
That's a terrible
That's
idea.
a terrible idea, Butch.
That's our sponsor.
That's your sponsor. And he's like, oh yeah, you're right.
Because we were.
That shows that I think we had good hearts. We didn't want to.
Yeah, we didn't want to
And
hurt
he was
anybody.
nice. He was like Butch.
yeah.
Was like really nice, real sweet
Yeah.
dude.
It was a good time. That was over at WXXR.
WXXR, Wixer. Gone.
I used to work there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to work there for a little while. And
Yeah.
they recorded the weather on the reel to reel, and
They had
learned
carts.
about slap back on that reel to reel. I could get the delay going.
They had all their ads and stuff
Cart
on those old cart machines. Yeah.
It's sort of like if anyone that doesn't know about old timey radio, or
It was
not even
almost like
old
a
timey.
museum.
It's like a 8-track that you put in, but it was made for broadcast radio. So when you hit play, it would immediately play. So it was a way to cue something.
And they were
up.
weird. They were like clear, like you could see the tape
Yeah.
in them. Yeah, they were.
I'd never, all kinds of
Yeah.
weird, like obscure things
Yeah.
that you don't know about if you don't work in that
that
field.
don't even get used anymore.
Yeah, and don't get used anymore. Yeah, well, do you remember on the we used to have local election coverage?
I do.
Mostly it was pretty mundane, but we would have every once in a while interesting things happen. Like one time we had a guy get in an argument on the air live, and it was pretty good.
So there was a guy, older gentleman, and I don't even remember what office they were running for. I don't remember who it was, but it was like older guy. I think you described him as like a stocky Ross Perot.
Stocky Ross Perot. That's right.
And he was debating this younger guy, and the younger guy had come on and said some kind of inflammatory stuff. And then we cut to I think this was live.
It was. I remember.
So we cut to this. They had like this red curtain behind him. I remember
Yeah.
that. And we cut to the other guy, and he's like, you come to my house and you told me this wasn't going to get personal. If you want to make it that way, then big boy, get ready for it. Big boy.
Yeah, he got pretty intense.
He got pretty
there,
mad,
and it was hilarious.
Yeah, and it was funny.
Yeah, but we enjoyed.
So that's
it.
So Tony and I have like half a dozen phrases that we say to each other every time we see each other, and that's one of them that will eventually come as
Usually
big boy.
it's related.
Big boy, get ready for it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, do you remember that time at Channel 2 when the snack machine malfunctioned and all the Reese cups came out?
And we ate every one of them.
We had a contest to see how many we could eat. And I remember getting real sick.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's why I have type 69 diabetes now.
That's the hottest type of diabetes.
It is.
By the way.
It's sweeping the nation. It's America. But
can you call this episode Top 69 Diabetes?
well, I can do anything.
You can. Yeah.
If you
You're the
put your
Lizard
mind
King.
and heart to it.
Yeah.
The Lizard King. Well, I'm just gonna say, what do you like most about the South?
Oh my God. I like the food. I like the food. I mean, I like the natural beauty. I like. There's a poetry,
Natural booty.
and then I like the natural beauty and the natural booty.
Good to know.
There's a poetry sometimes to Southern language and expression, and there's like a music
There's a
to
flow
the
to
accents.
it. Absolutely.
There's like a languidness to it. There's like this, like people I don't think people understand how subtle Southerners are in their communication.
Yeah,
Like it's not what a Southerner says; it's how they say it.
exactly.
The tone. What
Yep.
did they? So if you've ever, invariably, when you go somewhere, when you leave with the people you came with, they'll go, "What do you think? What do you think he meant by that?"
Yeah,
Like, and when you're, and having lived in New Jersey and in Philadelphia,
They
you
just say
never
it.
go, what do you think he meant?
Yeah,
by
they
that?
just, and I appreciate that.
Yes, I did
working
too.
when I worked
Directness.
at Sweetwater, I appreciate where
Yes.
you stand. It's like cut and dry.
So it can be very frustrating to people who don't know how to, and it's frustrating to me.
Yeah.
And I think it makes you, I think it gives you some kind of like anxiety about like what people really think about you or how they really feel. I guess I'm getting into things that I don't like about this.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. Well, that's okay. That's what I want to discuss.
There's a what will people think kind of thing. There's like your good name.
Yeah.
Like, and I think in other places, they don't care so much about your good name. You can go out and do what you want. It doesn't affect your family. It doesn't whatever, but everybody's like, what about, my family wasn't like this, but I knew families that were like this. They were like, oh, what will that do to the family name if you do that? What will that do?
No, I get it.
Yeah. And because that's what people, because I think there was a lot of poverty and people depended on one another in the community. And so if you were shunned by the community, that was kind of like death in a way. It was kind of like, so it made it really hard. Hold on one second. I'm going to ask a question of my friend Katie, who's here. Katie, what's that organization that's collecting all the stories of LGBT? Invisible Histories Project. They're doing a thing where they're like collecting stories and things about like LGBTQ people plus people in the South.
Yeah.
Because of that, like if you were, and one point they made, and that's going to hold on tangent, is that a lot of times you would be accepted if you had a skill that was useful. So if you were a decorator or a hairdresser or maintenance or whatever, like, whatever, if you had a skill that was useful, then they would just overlook, oh, well, that's just how, he's just creative or he's just whatever. And and it's kind of like,
I can see that.
That really kind of stinks in a way, but it was also a way to survive.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I mean, things like that, like I think it was so important to be accepted. But things I do like about the South, I mean, I think there is a frontier. There's ironically, we want to do things the way we want to do them. And you better not come and tell us to not do them that way, or we will do them that way just because you don't want us to do them that way.
That's
because
right.
people that live in the South, they got ran out of Europe. They were in New England. They got ran out of New England. Yeah. And then so now they were in the South. And those people got ran out to the West. And then those people got ran up to Alaska. And that's like the craziest people probably in Alaska. But Alaska. Like, yeah, I've heard this.
Let's just make this podcast about like hating on Alaskan people just for no reason.
F Alaska.
Those Alaskan people.
F a bunch of Kodiak bears.
Bunch of depression having because they don't get a lot of sunlight.
What, it takes you 6 months to sleep?
Oh, you cold or something? Okay, I'm back. Yeah. All right. But yeah, that's
talk about northern exposure. No, so I mean, I do like that about the South is there is kind of like a frontier spirit and a DIY kind of because of the poverty history.
It's
of like
you say a community type thing where that's the only way. It's like a instinctual thing to survive. You have a community. You work together.
But there's also the left hand of that is the outlaw. Like those the Southern things is the good old boy and the outlaw.
That's right. Yeah.
And so those are the two kind of Southern.
You can't tell me what to do.
Right. Yeah.
I wouldn't know anything about that. But I hate being told what to do.
I don't like it either.
Yeah.
So it's like, so I mean, I think that's part of that paradox. Of
definitely.
Especially like Southern masculinity, that's which is that's a whole can of worms.
Yeah,
don't get me started.
True.
Don't get me started. Southern masculinity. Don't get me started.
Gee willikers.
Anyhow, so but I love a lot of stuff about the South, but I especially love the food.
Yeah, let
it not be made. That anywhere I've lived, I will talk. The first thing I will talk to you about is the food.
Yep,
because I'm like a dog. I'm food oriented.
This couch that we're sitting on right now is actually deep fried. You can't see it, but it's actually burning me right now.
It's technically a fritter.
It's technically a fritter. Everything is a fritter in the South.
Eventually,
at some point, everything's going to be a fritter.
Yeah,
most things turn to ash at other places, but you transition into a fritter if you're in the South.
Yes.
It's just that's part of the cycle of life.
The funerals, they're like fritters to fritters.
Yep. Fritters to fritters. Yep. That's pretty much how it is.
Oh, boy.
So we could go on literally forever.
Oh, my God. About fritters.
Ridiculous. About fritters. I wasn't talking about anything else.
Have you considered turning this to a fritter-based podcast?
Yeah, fritter. the Fritter Fest 89, like just make it a year that's not even
Tony
relevant.
Perdue's Fritter Fest 89.
Fresh for fritters for 89. And that's a reference that no one gets because it's from a Sick of It All album where KRS-One guested on, and he says fresh for 89. And me and
we've said that
Jason
forever.
still say
I
that.
use that as an internet name for years, like Agent Fresh for 89.
And it's funny to us. It's not really funny.
I have a friend who may hear this. My friend Glenn Case that lives up in the Pacific Northwest, who he made a list of his 10,000 favorite songs. That's all you need to know about him.
What? Couldn't he do any more?
Yeah.
That's not many.
And he also does like an album a month or something. Like he's just a maniac. But he knows that reference.
Nice.
He knows the Fresh for 89
awesome.
reference.
He's literally, I think, the only person.
There's four of us
than
counting
KRS-One himself.
And I don't even think the members of Sick of It All remember.
They're like, I don't know. That's hardcore. I don't know. He wandered in
like,
there.
What? What did you say? What?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's the way Slayer is now. When you see him in an interview, he's got that big white Well, actually, did they retire? I don't know.
Oh, I don't know.
That's random. But like,
I'm not up on my Slayer
I
lore.
saw a Slayer interview and he was like, hey, you're going to have to speak up. I can't hear you.
I was in Slayer.
I was in Slayer. I don't know if you knew that, but it's raining blood in my eardrums. And
That's like being in the Korean War. I was in Slayer.
I was in Slayer, and it gets us all eventually, but that's all right. You enjoy it while it's there. Well, do you think space aliens exist?
Probably.
Yeah.
Why not? I mean, it's a weird universe. Why not?
I feel like it's definitely possible, and I won't go in. I may go delve into that more one day.
Okay.
I'll tell the real just turn it into a conspiracy theory thing.
This is Tony Perdue, Coast to Coast.
Yeah. Coast to Coast. Yeah, I've got what's that guy? InfoWars. I've got him coming on next. No, I know. I would never
you mean what's his name?
Gary Shanley. He did InfoWars, right?
No, I'm blanking on the guy's name. What was his name?
Yeah,
he got
I can't
sued.
remember.
He got sued for like $10 billion. Right?
Yeah.
Because he's fun to imitate. Like his voice is fun to do.
It's not important.
They're turning the frogs gay. Like he'd say stuff like that. Yeah. What's his name?
As one does. It doesn't matter.
He really said that. Alex Jones. That's an actual Alex Jones quote. But it's fun to talk about that in any. It's like, you know why they took the Taco Bell took the verde sauce away? You know, you can talk about anything in that voice and it's funny.
If you say that voice, yeah. And I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, he's related to Mike Jones, the rapper from Houston, known for his chopped and screwed music. I may be wrong on that.
My cousin makes this chopped. Now, let me just say something, folks. My cousin makes this chopped and screwed hip hop in Atlanta. And it's
you actually sound a lot like
scrambling their brains.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'll just have you on the next episode as Alex Jones.
I would love that. I love talking in that voice.
We've given away the secret now, so I can't do it. We'll get you to be like.
I'm gonna have to cough now after doing that. Hold on.
Yeah.
That's the price I pay.
Oh,
yeah.
I don't know why how the guy the singer from AC/DC doesn't cough more. How do you do that?
They have a whole.
I can't do it. I can't do it.
Imagine the outtakes of that. There's like hours of just him coughing.
Yeah, I mean he's got to be shredded.
Smothered, covered,
scattered, smothered, shredded, covered, diced, chunked, and peppered. And so I know you've done a lot of different things over the years. What are you up to right now?
Well, mainly what I do right now creatively is improv, and I do improv. Mainly, I do improv, and I mainly do that at a place called Shenanigans Comedy Theater, which is in Huntsville, Alabama, and it's a great place. It's very artist focused, and it's very like open to everyone, which I think at this time and in this place is very important. So like people of all backgrounds and stuff are welcome there, and they have everything from improv shows to stand-up shows to game shows to drag shows to stuff for kids, stuff for families.
They got drag racing. That's awesome.
Drag racing.
Oh man,
not that kind of drag.
Oh, okay. I get those confused.
But that would be a really cool thing to combine. Has anybody combined drag and drag racing yet?
I'm editing this out so I can trademark it.
I'm going to go halvesies with you on it. So, I perform with a troupe called Rocket City Improv. And if you're a time traveler, you can go back to tonight, because this is not going to release today. But if you can go back to tonight and you can watch our show tonight at Shenanigans. But I love Rocket City Improv. We do long form improv, and everybody's so funny. Matt Carter is the director of that group. And there's not that many people. I'm going to name everybody. There's Matt Carter. There's Ben Bowden. Thank you. There's Ben Bowden. There is Beth Ridgeway. Okay, can we edit this out where it says like I know that my friend's names?
No edits.
All right, Matt Carter, Ben Bowden, Beth Ridgeway, Taylor what? Taylor Bush.
Taylor Dane.
What the hell? I know. My friend Katie knows these
I
people's
do
names
it all
better
the
than I do.
time.
Taylor Bush, because I just call them by their first names all the time.
Yeah, no, I get
Taylor
it.
Bush, and then Justin Kaiser, whose name I can remember. I don't know why. I can remember Justin Kaiser's name.
That's a very catchy name.
It is a very catchy name.
When it's like Kaiser,
And then there's a lady named Amy, and I cannot remember her last name, but she's a pianist, and she's been playing like accompaniment, like live musical accompaniment to the scenes, and has just
That's awesome.
enhanced
Nice.
because that's the thing that's done very commonly in Chicago, where they'll have like improv and they'll do like have musical accompaniment, and she does it live, and she'll like incorporate like different thematic stuff.
I didn't know you were doing that.
Oh, I forgot to tell you, but yeah, that just started. Like
you need to cue me out.
I've got to. I forgot.
No, it reminds me of like you see in those very old theaters and things. They'll have the organ there, and that's before they had like
soundtrack,
a line array PA. They had somebody playing.
Well, so what she does is she has nothing planned. She just watches the scenes, and so she'll like follow the emotion of the scene, or she'll like make a reference to like some kind of theme music or a song that would fit into that moment. And she had never done this before, like a couple months ago, and she is like a natural at it. She's like a super talented musician, and she says that she loves doing it, and we love having her there.
That's awesome.
So I also do a show called Comedy Test Kitchen, which is kind of like the little like 17-year-old punk rock Jason that lives inside me.
Yeah,
like that's him coming out. So it's at 10 o'clock.
Yeah,
it's free. And it doesn't have to be good. I tell everybody that brings stuff for it. No holds. Well, there's a couple holds barred, but
not many.
But not many. And so, like for example, like my friend and collaborator Katie Ganaway and I, we did a 30-minute play about the Dust Bowl. 30-second. Sorry.
Why didn't you invite me to be Woody Guthrie?
A 30-second. 30-second play about the Dust Bowl. We did a thing where back when I didn't have a lot going on in my life, I would communicate with Instagram scammers and tell them the most bizarre stories, like that I had a big haunted house that was full of like gold, and that I had like 100 owls living on my roof because I had a cursed diamond, and then I had like a magical katana that could kill ghosts. Could they come and kill the ghosts for me? And they would just keep talking to you because they just want to get your banking information.
Jason, I wish you'd quit using those same tired themes that everybody uses.
Look, they're old tropes. I know I'm trying out some old tropes. But anyway, so what we did is I read the part of myself, and she read the part of the scammer, and it was really funny. It was really fun. It's just and we have a guy named Eric Eckstein, who's from Elkton, Alabama, up in, around the Tennessee border. Beautiful, beautiful soul, just really great energy, and just tells like the funniest stories. We've had people come do sketches. We've had people come do character stuff. And so it's just really fun. It's basically for anything that wouldn't fit in a regular improv show or an open mic. You can just come and try something experimental.
That's cool.
And so if there's anyone within the sound of my voice that would be interested in doing that, get in touch with me. I'll give you some contact deets at the end of the podcast if I'm allowed to.
Absolutely.
By Mr. Tony Perdue.
Yes.
And then if you want to come be involved in it, like it's 10 o'clock, it's free. It lasts about 30 minutes, and it doesn't have to be good. But sometimes it is. That's sometimes amazing.
Hey,
it is.
I've gone to several of your performances and I always have a great time.
Oh my
and
God, thank you.
You always do an awesome job. I'm a little biased because
Of course.
like we're such good friends.
Of course.
So you've paid me a lot to say that,
Yes.
but I'm going to go ahead and say it anyway because I'm kind of struggling right now. I
Yeah,
want
I
to make
understand.
sure no, none of that is true. And he is awesome and talented. I would
that's
call
very
him a
sweet.
genius.
Oh,
He
it would
is-
be unseemly if I said it.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you said it.
Yeah. So, but yeah, he's really talented, does an awesome job. It's so
Blushing.
funny. Like it's,
Blushing.
and creative. Like he's one of the most creative people I know. That's where it surprises me. Like, you did the thing the other day where it's, where you were playing the Queen of England.
Yeah,
That
I got
was-
to play
that
the
was
Queen of
interesting.
England. That's one of the greatest roles of my life.
Yeah,
it
that
was
was
fun.
good. You were built for that role. I knew when I
built for
first
that
met
role.
you, I was like,
This fella
Queen.
you were like, go Queen when you first met me.
You
Yeah.
go, yes, Queen.
Yes, Queen,
Isn't that?
But no, again, my friend and collaborator Katie Ganaway helped me put that outfit together. And what's
Yeah.
that? Yeah. And she thinks if I ever do drag in that outfit that I should use the name Cruel Britannia.
Britannia.
Which is a badass name.
I like that.
That was her. She came out with
That's
it. But-
good.
So but she did help me do my makeup and pick out the outfit. And it was just like, and I have to say this, there's a point where I'm wearing like a frumpy dress and underneath I have this black dress. And I have to say that black dress looked better on me than any outfit I've ever worn in my life.
Yeah.
And that was a life-changing moment when I saw myself in that. I was like, that looks fantastic.
We'll tear them up.
Tear 'em up. Fantastic. So so I got to play the Queen. She, very reserved, and then like the thing at the end is that
You're sort of punk rock, right?
rock.
I
Yeah.
love that.
So it was fun, and that was a good show. That was my friend Justin Kaiser, whose name I can remember. He did Joe Biden.
Yeah.
Oh my God, he looked just like Joe Biden. His
I
Biden was
remember
so
that.
funny.
It was good.
Yeah, there were some other.
Yeah, he was good.
There's a guy that's comedy named Sci-Fi. He did. I think he did Chris Rock, and his Chris Rock impression was perfect. Like, spot on. There's some. There was some other good folks in that show.
Yeah, I think we all lined up and slapped him as he was up there. But that was awesome, and Jason always involved in entertaining and
thank
creative things.
Well,
and
I would say all those things about you as well,
I appreciate that.
and I would mean them.
Well, I appreciate you.
Yeah.
But
Welcome.
hey, it's been a good first episode.
Oh,
I've
yeah.
enjoyed this. And
Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there any way we can find out more about you or get
Of
a
course.
hold of you?
It's-
What's your mailing address? We can send you
Well,
postcard.
here's what you do. If you go in a darkened room, you light
Okay.
some candles. You put a circle of salt
Okay.
onto the floor.
Okay.
You put the biggest iced Americano that you can find,
okay.
black.
All right.
You put that in the circle. You put like some
Jelly
scrapple.
beans?
You put some scrapple, which is a sausage that they have up in Pennsylvania. You put that on there. You put some seltzer water, hopefully some Gerolsteiner German mineral water in that circle, and I'm bound to appear in that circle if you put those objects in the circle.
Okay.
I will appear. If you put chocolate, I'll appear quicker.
Okay.
So that's
That's good to know. All right.
so that's how you do it. But if that doesn't work,
in more conventional ways
in a
to
more
get a hold
like
of
if you don't want to risk practicing ritual sorcery,
bringing demonic forces.
I mean, because
or
I
anything
can't
by
guarantee you
accident.
might get somebody else. Like you get the wrong kind of mineral water, and I don't know, you get old Scratch in there instead of me.
Yeah,
but-
like Richard Nixon just walks up, but he's got like half a head,
and he's
then
got like 12 eyes.
Yeah.
yeah. But if you don't want to risk that, you can just. I think the best way is probably just Instagram.
yeah.
at this point in
might,
life. At this
might
point
as
in
well
my
make it
life.
simple.
Yeah, it's at InstaSims. 1M, SIMS, because I don't. Those 2M people, they're too highfalutin for me.
It's a waste of time.
It is. You don't need the other M.
Think
It's
about how many
superfluous.
times you've written that second
That
S.
second
in there.
M.
Second M and the S.
The
like-
S is. You have to have
Yeah.
2 S's.
Oh, the S isn't silent? I've always called you Jason M's. Oh, man. I've learned something.
Okay.
But yeah, that's appreciate you being on. And
Oh my God. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me on.
and hey, this
You
has
asked
been
very thoughtful questions and I appreciate it.
well, thank you, man. I appreciate you.
Oh my
And,
God. We're going to hug after this.
yeah,
Like nobody's business. Just
oh,
imagine the hug.
Man,
The hug that's about to happen.
I'm about to run if I didn't have to unplug all this gear. But hey, man, I appreciate you being on the first episode.
Absolutely.
Southern Renaissance, and we're going to have many more. We're talking to all kinds of folks. So hope you have a good rest of your evening, morning, or wherever you at in your timeline.
I don't.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.